Hi and welcome to Assets. Here is an example of a page that has made excellent use of assets. So we've got some designs embedded in the page, video. There are also animated infographics. There are some charts, UI examples, a design system. This is one of the most impressive parts, where using a tool called Jitter, which I'll talk about later, the designer has really communicated the user experience well on this page. And so this is something really useful to think about when you are creating your own portfolio projects. So what are assets? Images, shapes, textures, lines, borders, gradients and overlays, backgrounds or visual effects which you can add to your designs to make them interesting and help the user to comprehend your content and also to move through it. So I'm going to talk through all the different kinds of assets. First, why are assets important? Then talk about all the different kinds of assets. You can also use this page as a bit of a cheat sheet in case you ever get stuck on a design and you think, I'm faced here with a blank page in Figma and it's scary and I don't know what to put on this page. And then I'm going to finish up with some software plugins and tools, and then you'll move on to the interactive activity, which will extend the work that you've done previously. Okay, so assets are important because they convey the message intended and they reinforce the text on the page and they aid user comprehension. When you're commencing the layout of a page, you will, or you should start with a good idea what the function of the page is. So for example, this page that we've got here on the right, it's there to display projects, or it could be also products. In this case, it's just projects like in a portfolio, or it could be a page to convince a reader to buy or explore further into the website. But essentially each page tends to have a function, and you should set out with a clear idea what that function is when you start designing. There on that little mobile diagram you can see this is a hand-drawn rapid prototype, and the one on the right, this is made with pieces from a UI kit. I took that from the Reloom UI kit, which is actually a really great kit because you can also use these sections, which are templated sections, inside Webflow as well if you're building your website with Webflow, but I won't go too far into that now. So at this stage you've got some dummy copy, as in short heading, project name goes here, things like this, short description underneath, and hopefully a good idea or the goal or the function of the page. After choosing typography which suits the brand, or using an existing brand style guide, the designer will go on to select assets, a colour palette, and to fine-tune the hierarchy and layout to perfect the page for the intended audience. Not necessarily in that order, and they may revisit these things, so you might apply colour and then go and look at hierarchy and layout and then go back to colour, because really you're also looking at consistency in your designs as well. That's one of the things that makes it look professional. So here's a tip. Do use realistic text, or copy as it's known, as soon as possible in your design process, because this aids in asset selection. So if we've got project name here, if that actually turns into car project for BMW, then you'll know that you probably need a car, a BMW logo, or close-up of a kind of a logo, something like that in that project area. That text content is going to very much assist you to choose image content or image-based content. So let's talk about the types of asset. So the really obvious one, photographs. These should be high quality, high resolution images that convey the intended message. And if you would like to find a list of the top free image websites, I've got that at artfully.click/free images. And on the PDF version of this, you can mouse over and go straight to that address. So there's an example of clean water and healthy beaches as the headline. they've selected an image to go with that. Now this is an example of a design portfolio, and this guy has done a really quite simple but also smart concept, which reinforces the fact that he is part designer and part coder. And if you go to the live website, which you can do here, you'll see that as you move your mouse left or right, these images, the line that splits the images moves backwards and forwards. And so that's a great concept for a portfolio for a designer, and it does grab attention. It's worth noting at this stage that there's several image adjustments that you can make in Figma. We've got the exposure, contrast, saturation as listed here, and you can also click on these links to find out more about these in the Figma libraries. Just note that it's not possible to apply adjustments to animated GIFs. There are also many exciting layer adjustments, for example pass-through, which alters the transparency of the layer or image, and you can play around with these settings as so many interesting design effects can be achieved with them. So you can see it's by default set to pass-through, but as you click the click down, you'll see all of these things here. It's quite similar to some of the settings in Photoshop.